First off, we got a patch, so we got some patch notes to talk about. Number 2, Baby on Board has games today. I'm excited. It's another week of Nexomania games. Our games are at 9 Eastern, which is 8 my time, so an hour and 45 minutes-ish. So we've got time to play a little after we talk about the patch notes. Per usual, disclaimer, I'll probably only talk about the heroes I am familiar with because, let's be honest, I can't tell you anything about Blaze or Garrosh. I don't know how they work. A fire, orc. I have limited brain capacity, but there's a couple on here that I'm definitely excited to talk about. So let's go. Right at the start, the first thing is Lone Talons. I think everybody agreed that that was a dumb name. Sorry, Blizzard. But Blizzard also agreed because they changed it to Gambit Talons. The Gambit you're entering. You get the power, but if you die, you lose the power. It's a better name. But I'm just kind of sad because I'm just always going to think of them as Lone Talons. It's been too long, right? The damage is done. But they did change the name. It's a better name, I guess. So I think the flavor of this patch, or at least the major thing I noticed when reading over the stuff earlier, was stuff getting baked in. And the devs have done this before where they've taken talents that are like have 100% pick rate and are considered like necessary for the hero, and they bake them into their base kit so people can explore other talents. And that happened a couple places, such as Blaze here. He got the talent Crossfire removed, and the Crossfire was baked into his Q. So additional functionality, hitting an enemy hero with both streams of Flame Stream deals extra damage. This additional hit triggers stuff. That was the talent Crossfire. It's not a talent anymore. It's just part of his kit. So, woo! McIntyre is probably happy. There are a bunch of other Blaze changes here that you can see. Some of them were just to see Crossfire remove. Some of them were to balance out the fact that he has Crossfire essentially from level 1. But besides that, like, I'm not super familiar with the rest of these talents for what they did for Blaze. The dev comments were that Crossfire has always been a wildly popular talent, so we're bringing it baseline, okay. With this early addition of damage, because they get that bonus now at level 1, we're comfortable pushing back his damage talent here and swapping it with his impactful taking talents. So they moved some talents around and did some number nerfs, I believe. But if you're a Blaze main, you can weigh in the comments with more ideas for what they did there. But Crossfire baked in, and that continues with Garrosh. Into the Fray, which was a level 7 talent for Garrosh, it's now base as well. So same as Blaze, they baked in into the Fray. They did reduce the armor from Into the Fray because it's available much earlier now. So same thing here. Into the Fray has become a crucial part of what is expected from Garrosh. So we're just giving it to the Mad War Chief. We're also mildly lowering the power of his level 7 talents to make up for this edition. So the other things at level 7 took a little bit of a nerf. No one ever picked these things anyway because they're all picking Into the Fray. But that's it for Gary. Johanna, number 1 with Johanna, we should probably jump to the bottom. Just that the Falling Sword bug, where Falling Sword was doing double impact, double damage, was fixed. So that is gone. A lot of bug fixes down there you saw. We'll jump back down in a minute, but basically all of the major bugs that had talents banned in competitive play were all fixed, including the Malfurion talent that has been around for like a couple of years. I think since 2018, question mark, was the Serenity bug, and that was actually fixed as well. So 11 out of 10 amazing bug fixes, one of them being the Johanna bug. So moving on. Iron Skin was buffed. The shield is larger. Level 4 hold your ground. Shield percent increase reduced. That's a weird sentence. I don't know. That hurts my brain. But overall, Johanna got a couple buffs. I don't know if they're talents to people that people super pick, but Jo did get a little bit of buffs. Falling Sword's base damage was actually increased by quite a bit, which is interesting since it was bugged to hit twice. So essentially deal double damage. And then the damage wasn't quite doubled. It went from 150 to 225. That's not quite a double, but still it was increased. So if you've been playing Johanna since the last patch when she had her rework, it will be less damage, but it's because it's not bugs. But if you weren't playing Johanna, it's more than you might remember. I don't know. It's kind of hard to wrap my brain around that as well. But anyway, Falling Sword, more damage. Woo! So, Hold Your Ground's talent tier has some competitive options, but it still feels more necessary than we like. We're baking in some of its benefit, and those who love the talents will still have its current power. Hold Your Ground shield increased. Johanna has landed fairly well, so we're also lightly helping some of her weaker talents. So buffs to talents, I guess people didn't take. I'm not a Johanna player, so I'm not super sure what she takes, but there's some buffs in there, and then the D is bigger. Speaking of baking things in, Muradin. Muradin's level 1 baseline, well, baseline, that's a better word. Baseline quest for Stormbolts is gone. Instead, Muradin adjusted functionality, Stormbolt, no longer has a baseline quest. Upon reaching level 10, Stormbolt pierces an additional target. Basic attacks reduce the cooldown of Stormbolt by 1 second and restore 3 mana. And then at level 1, the Perfect Storm quest, basic attacks against enemy heroes increase Stormbolt's damage. If an enemy hero is killed within 3 seconds of being hit by a Stormbolt, increase Stormbolt's damage by 10. So there is still a Stormbolt quest. You can still get some dings from that. But the initial quest for Stormbolt, where it was just hit heroes, get pierce, is gone. Instead, you will just pierce by default at level 10, which is a pretty fair time for people to finish that quest anyway. So, cool. The reason for this was the devs felt that the way people played Muradin in the early game to try to finish that quest to get the pierce as quickly as possible had them playing Muradin in a way that nobody liked, right? Where kind of like Kael'thas, if you have convection, you're playing Kael'thas kind of wrong. The same thing with Muradin. You were working so hard to get those stacks that you were often putting yourself out of position or wasting your stun at an inopportune time just to get the stack. So you don't have to do that anymore. You can still stack it, but since it's not for that all-important pierce, you can do it in a little more sane manner, and that's the only Muradin change, so neat. Valla! Valla W build did get a little bit of the nerf that was... we're not on Valla, this is Stitches. I'm dumb. Don't listen to me. We'll come back to this. Stitches, though, what did they even do to you? I don't play Stitches at all, ever. 0. So I have no idea what's going on here. But we'll read. Stitches is successfully lumbering his way through the Nexus on his own with a massive health pool and lots of healing. We think a small reduction on both ends will be healthy without tripping him up. And it's fair because he is pretty OP. We're reducing his hook cooldown reduction on both Serrated Edge and Master Hooker. So Stitches will have to work harder to play with his food. Who wrote this? Jesus. Stitches got nerfed, is what I'm reading here. Stitches got nerfed. He's been pretty OP. If you saw in CCL over the weekend, Stitches was super dominant in the games where he was picked. So, little small nerfs. Yeah. Imperious! So, a buff to his basic attack damage, and a buff to Solarian's fire, his W's damage. That's just base. Okay, okay. Then level 4, Battle Hunger, bonus healing increased. Level 7, Blaze of Glory, damage increased. Holy Fervor got additional functionality. Casting Molten Armor grants Holy Fervor for 2 basic attacks. And then level 20, Unrelenting Descent, additional functionality. Descending from the heaven restores Imperious for 30% of his maximum health and mana. So these are all less picked talents. I don't know if I've ever taken this talent, and I haven't taken Blaze of Glory in a really long time, but what they did was just buff some of Imperious's lesser pick talents to see if you want to pick them. This is the upgrade to his kidnap alt. I don't know. I'll have to check it out. It's definitely not the way I would build Imperius. I don't play him a ton, but I play him sometimes, and yeah, so we'll have to see if this damage increase is worth. But now, okay, now we're in the part of the patch notes where I can actually have a small crumb, a speck of knowledge, and that is the healer changes, starting with your boy Anduin, and I'm excited. So remember, during in his rework last patch, Pursued by Grace became part of his trait, where when he auto attacks people, there's a little heal, right? That was increased, so that's just some free healing. Feels good. His Q had the mana cost reduced and the healing increased. And then Chastise, his root, had the cooldown reduced. So these are just buffs right here. He heals more, costs less mana, so he can heal even more, and he can root more often. Woo-woo! So right off the start, looking good for your boy Anduin. Level 1, Even-Handed Blessings, healing bonus increased, and also Lightwell, cooldown reduced, and individual healing cooldown, which means how often the Lightwell procs when people stand in it, reduced, so it procs more quickly. So these are buffs to both of these talents. I flip between these two depending on the map, mostly. I don't usually take Holy Word Shield, so these are my two choices, and both of them were buffed. Level 4, Surge of Light, cooldown reduction increased. I want to look really quick. Let's just jump into the quick match region of the world. This is the easiest way, I think, to look at heroes. Here's Anduin, Talons, and that was Surge of Light. So this isn't what I normally take. I take Piercing Light to get the double root. I think that's really good. But this guy, basic attacks reduce the cooldown of Chastise by 0.75 seconds. Basic attacks against heroes rooted by Chastise launch an additional basic attack and restore 25 mana. So an interesting talent there, and the cooldown reduction is more. So more Chastises. Maybe we'll try it. I don't know. I do like Piercing Light, but we'll see. Level 7, Binding Heal, healing increased. That's the one I like to take. I don't super like the next one here, Desperate Prayer, but also Desperate Prayer, cooldown reduced, healing increased. So just buffs on the level 7. Those are the two main ones I see. So, yay. Then we're going to level 16. Renew, healing per second increased, duration increased. Renew isn't what I have been taking at 16. What I have been taking is the double D, where you get 2 Leap of Faiths. But that's out. I might not take it anymore because, baby, it's back! Inner Focus! Remember when Anduin got reworked, my biggest point of pain in the rework was that they got rid of Inner Focus. I love Inner Focus, and I was so sad that it was gone. Well, it's back! Inner Focus. Activate to reset the cooldown of Flash Heal, and its next cast heals for 25% more. Damaging enemy heroes reduces this cooldown by 1 second with a 20-second base cooldown. Ah! So there it is. The foci has returned to us. So in periods of big damage, you can Q, focus, Q again for a double heal. That is also a larger heal, and you get cooldown reduction on it. Now, the old Inner Focus got cooldown reduction from hitting people with Divine Star. This just gets it from hitting people. So, even better, I guess. So this is awesome. I'm really excited to play some Anduin. Double Q is back on the menu, boys. I'm so excited. I might actually give up the double D, depending on how the game is going. If it's not like a ton of enemy team CC that I'm worried about. I don't know. I'm really excited to get Inner Focus back. I'm just really, all of these are buffs to things that I use. I feel like this was a gift directly given to me from the heavens. Thank you, Papa Blizzard. We're gonna be playing some Anduin tonight. Stoked. Going down to Brightwing. So starting at the developer comments, because I think reading these first make all of this make a little more sense. We'd prefer a Brightwing that isn't as dependent on a hyper shift. So that's how we've played Brightwing for a long time now. So they don't want us to do that anymore, apparently. So we're reducing its cooldown reduction alongside Phase Shift's base cooldown. We're hoping sprucing up Brightwing's level 20 talents, so Brightwing's... So these changes are all with the idea of making us not play around Brightwing's Z as much as we do. So Hyper Shift at level 1, cooldown reduction reduced. So I'm going to grab Brightwing really quick. If I were a Brightwing, I'd be level 94. So here is Hyper Shift, what we normally take. Increases phase shift's healing by an additional 8%. The target's maximum, 8% of the target's maximum health. Nearby enemy minion deaths reduce the cooldown by 1 second, which it was 1.5 seconds. So less cooldown reduction, you'll be able to shift less often. I don't know if that kills the build yet, but the idea was to make her less reliant on her Z. To go along with that, Peekaboo, which is another thing we would take at 7. Shield duration reduced from 5 seconds to 4 seconds. So at 7, Peekaboo is the one where you shift in, they get a shield on top of the heal, and then it reveals the area. Who cares about the reveal? We here for the shields. The duration of the shield is reduced. That's probably not a big deal because often that shield gets eaten up really fast by whatever damage the person is taking. But if they're not taking the damage quickly, the shield will expire faster. Sad. On the flip side, Critical Mist, which is the talent where when you cleanse someone, they receive a heal, that is increased by 40% from 100% to 140%. So maybe that talent is more attractive now. Brightwing's cleanse is not my favorite cleanse. It's not my least favorite cleanse, but it's not my favorite cleanse. So taking talents into it sometimes make me a little grump, but we'll see. It'll be worth a try at least. 13 Pixie Boost, not what we would normally take here, but initial move speed bonus increased from 40% to 50%. 13 is the Pixie Dust talent here. Normally I would take the Safety Dust, which makes your Blink heal and Soothing Mist heal more during Pixie Dust. That's what I would normally take. And then you would Pixie someone and then Blink to them for a larger heal. But Pixie Boost, the movement speed here, got buffed. I don't know if that's attractive enough to take it over Safety Dust, but I even had games where I take Pixie Power, particularly against like Malthael with Last Rites or Kael'thas with Pyroblast, because then you just Pixie Dust that target and they get a huge amount of spell armor and don't die. I don't know about Pixie Boost, but I mean, we'll think about it. It got buffed, so it's a thought, I guess. And then level 20, this is where things seem a little crazy to me. Intensive Winds, which is the level 20 upgrade to Emerald Wind. Changed functionality. No longer increases Emerald Wind's mana cost. What? So the whole thing with Intensive Winds was that it doesn't really have a cooldown, right? It's a 5-second cooldown, but it costs more mana. So if you were spamming it, you would go That was the thing. You had it available more often, but the trade-off was you could go if you used it too much. Not anymore. Not anymore. You can just spam it. Woo! Wind everywhere. It's insane. I love Blink Heal. I really do. But this intrigues me. This seems nutty. I don't know what to say about this. I do want to try it. That's crazy. Then we've got Fairy Protector. This is my go-to like Fiesta game take. Because, okay, so normally I take Blink Heal. And then in organized play at 20, you're going to take Invisible Friends. You can do a lot with the stealth from Invisible Friends. But if your team is completely uncoordinated, like Quick Match or like lower rank Storm League, where they're not going to use the stealth, they're just going to auto attack a minion and break stealth constantly. I would always take Fairy Protector because it's just an extra Pixie Dust, AoE Pixie Dust at that. So it's like, all right. Additional functionality, Pixie Dust always bounces back and applies to Brightwing. That's really cool. So it's just a buff for that talent. So in those Fiesta games, neat. And then finally, Speedy. I've literally never taken Speedy Dragon, even one time. But reduced phase shifts cast time to 1 second is kind of cool. Seems weird in the patch where they're making you not want to Z, like where they nerf all the Z talents, but then buff the level 20 Z talent. Feels a little weird to me. Like, this would have been nuts in yesterday's Z build, but present day Z build, I don't really know where this fits in. But who cares? Because Intensive Winds looks crazy. Speaking of builds from yesterday, moving on to the next healer, Stukov got kind of wrecked. I've heard some people have the opinion that Stukov was gutted. Others saying that he's just not top tier anymore. I don't know, but you can see there's quite a few changes here. I don't know if I go as far as to say he's gutted, but this was definitely some big changes to Stukov. So we'll grab Stuk really quick. Stukov is actually on my do not play list right now. Maybe whatever new build emerges from the rubble and shambles of Stukov here will be good. I don't know, but here we go. W at 1, Fetid Touch, additional functionality, basic attacks become ranged and slow enemies by 15% for 1.5 seconds, but deal 50% less damage. This is Spine Launcher baked into Fetid Touch. I guess we should have started here. But basically what they're saying is, had a couple of fun talents that were being overshadowed by stronger or more synergistic ones. We didn't want to lose their flavors, so we baked their current functionality into existing talents that were in need of a little love themselves. So Stukov had a very defined build as to what was the best Stukov build, and you never deviated from that. We actually talked about this. Oh, did Cav raid and I just missed it because I'm talking? I'm sorry. This is going to go on YouTube, so I was just kind of monologuing. But Cav, thank you for the raid that I missed, evidently. Now it's in the monologue for YouTube. So YouTube, say hello to Cavalier Guest. Everyone on YouTube, say hello to Cav. Thank you for the raid. Cav, we're talking about the patch notes for the couple characters that I kind of know how to play. We actually got to the one I don't play, which is Stukov. Hello. So welcome to the YouTube video. Okay, moving on. So Fetid Touch had Spine Launcher just smooshed in with it, and they became one talent. Will people pick them? I don't know, but there they are. Reactive Ballista Spores, which was the one I would take, and which I would say was part of the more normal build, adjusted functionality. Activate. Instantly spread a weighted pustule to all nearby enemy heroes with a 60-second cooldown. Passive. While below 50% health, bio kill switch cooldown refreshes 150% faster. That is very different from what Reactive Ballista Spores was before. If that's still going to be good, or I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. It seems worse to me, but like, what do I know? I'm really bad at Stukov. Low blow, additional functionality, lurking arm persists for an additional 1 second after it's canceled. That one sounds the most brain dead, which you know how I enjoy the brain dead builds. So that one sounds the most appealing to me, but we'll see. We'll see where that shakes up with Stukov level 1. Level 4 biotic armor, which it was the pick before. Physical armor from activating bio kill switch. This is weird because they're missing a word, right? It should be physical armor from activating bio kill switch reduced from 75 to 50. There's a typo here. There's a whole word missing. But this was nerfed by 25 armor, which again is a blow to the previous meta Stukov build, I guess. I don't know if this is as good anymore at 4 compared to the other things. It is an important word that was omitted, but we can infer it's supposed to be reduced. Targeted excision. Activating bio kill switch while exactly one enemy hero is affected by weighted pustule now sets your bio kill switch to 8 seconds instead of 5. So this was again, this was part of the meta builds. Marshy was the one who like taught me how to use this ability, and instead of being 5 seconds, it's 8. So that's just a nerf to that. Lingering spines removed. It's out of here. Virulent reaction. Root duration. Once again, we have a word missing. Reduced. Would reduced be the right word? Root duration reduced from 2 seconds to 1.5 seconds. Yeah, this is a word is lost here. But the root at virulent reaction, which is was previously in the past a hugely important part of playing Stukov. The root is less, right? It was a 2 second root. Now it's a 1.5 second root. Is that enough to kill the builds or kill Stukov? I don't know. We'll have to see. But it feels bad. Basically, his whole meta build was nerfed. And I don't know if the new talents, new combined talents are going to be good or not. I don't feel like I have enough Stukov expertise to comment on what will be good, but he definitely did get slapped, which is funny because he is the character that slapped. The slapper became the slappy. We'll see where Stukov shakes out. I don't expect to see him in CCL this coming weekend. Just off the heels of a nerf to his meta build that has been his meta build for such a long time that I just feel like they're while these talents shake out, they might pivot to another hero, but we'll see. Moving on to the assassins. I don't play Orphea. I don't play Orphea. I don't know what to say about this. Orphea players have correctly recognized the power of both Ancestral Strength and Eldritch Conduit. Therefore, we're buffing their competitors and seeing what happens. So from what I understand, they just buff talents that aren't taken as much, and her meta talents are unaffected. It's just the other talents are buffed to see if people will pick them. I don't know. James Raynor, everyone's favorite lane minion. Basic attack damage increased, again, thanks Jimmy. Q damage increased, again, thanks Jimmy. Ace in the hole. Talent changed from Q to trait. Changed functionality. Damage bonus now affects all Raynor damage. Damage bonus reduced. Okay, and then at level 20, execute order 66 is no longer able to be picked in ARAMs. That's the one with the like infinity, with the extra Hyperions, right? So Ace in the Hole is being returned to the way it was before his rework a couple weeks ago. People hated it, so yay. We removed execute orders from ARAMs as we think it's not healthy. I bet there were some funny ARAMs with that though. So congratulations Reddit, you did it. Ace in the Hole got reverted, so this is a change that people were complaining about on Reddit constantly. So I hope the Jimmy players out there are pleased with that change. You got what you wanted. Valla, finally, after my mistake earlier, we've made it. The big one is W at 1, Fire at Will, is no longer an uncapped quest. Rip Valla, those were some fun games. I'm sure it's still going to be good and a good build, but it no longer stacks to infinity. Instead, damage bonus per hero decreased from 4 to 2, and then additional functionality after hitting 20 heroes, gain 40 additional multi-shot damage. Okay, you got a cap. Knock it off. We're heavily reducing Fire at Will's ability to scale while giving it an early push of damage. So when you hit the 20 heroes, you get a little damage spike there, but it does not stack to infinity anymore. Knock it off. Blizzard said no more. And then Puncturing Arrow, damage bonus per initial hero hit increased. Maybe that will make people want to play Q builds. Certainly not me. I'm not one of those people. I will keep playing W build because it's easy and fun. Alright, then the bug fixes. 2 big Anduin bugs that appeared last patch that were negative buffs. Renew's effect is no longer lost by dying. Moral Compass's range bonus is no longer lost by dying. Anduin had these bugs where you took these talents and then if you died, they just went away and you didn't get them anymore. It was ridiculous. But that's fixed, so more wins for Anduin. We already said Johanna's Falling Sword bug where it hit twice is fixed. Lucio's Mixing Fire cooldown reduction has been updated to match its tooltip. So that big change with Mixing Fire, it's not a change, that big bug with Mixing Fire being like you could keep your team perma unstoppable at 20, that has been fixed. So Mixing Fire, I would assume, will be allowed back into competitive play, much like Falling Sword should be allowed back into competitive play. And then we already mentioned Malfurion. Serenity, which has been bugged for years, I guess, is fixed. So it should be allowed back in competitive play, I would assume. And then this one I didn't even know about. Ragnaros, Meteor Bomb's bonus damage is no longer lost by dying. So he had a similar problem as Anduin, where a talent just went away if he died. I didn't even know. But that's fixed too. So those are some great bug fixes that we've been hoping for. And some changes. for me, for the characters I play, I don't know what's going to happen with Stukov, so there's a lot of uncertainty here for me. But with these two, great day for Anduin, kind of a sad day for Brightwing. I feel like the build that I have been playing and comfortable with is not going to be as good anymore, so we'll have to figure out something new here, or we'll just be slightly less powerful if we keep the same build. Whereas with Anduin, wins across the board. You can't spell Anduin without win, I guess. Putting the winning in rinning. This is terrible, but Anduin. That's it. Those are the changes today. Feels good overall, maybe, possibly. Let me know down below which one you are happiest for. And if you're one of these, you play these. If you play these and you know what's going on here, feel free to put your opinion, because I have no idea what even is this character. But yeah, patch from today, June 15th.